Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I think it's important sometimes to show you the scary side of all of this digital asset stuff, because I think it's important that we are aware that no matter what it is, any technology, whether it's AI or digital assets or whatever, can be used for good or for evil. Catherine Austin Fitts is one of the people that talks a lot about the evil side. And she's talking about CBDCs here. What she's describing is not what we want. I think we can have a combo. You can have CBDCs, but have like Tom Emmer has tried. I think he's tried to do some things to make sure we got it in a direction where it's not like a control grid like she's talking about. But it's important that you be aware. Listen to this.
Yeah, so
and she's talking about the end game, and she calls it a direct reset, financial reset.
Part of squeezing the middle class out has been consolidating the banks. So starting in about 1980, when the centralization began, bank consolidation, we went, I think, from 13,000 banks in the United States to now there are about 4,700. So I would not say that we have bank collapses as opposed to the banks are being collapsed.
Seems like a concerted effort. What do you make of the recent?
You mean kind of like what they're doing, where our government is shutting down banks because they're crypto related, and all those assets are going to J.P. Morgan? And just today, I think Jamie Dimon said he might run for president.
Concerted effort. Yeah, it's complicated. There is a concerted effort to balloon and then to consolidate. So part of this was the ballooning that happened during the pandemic, because the Fed injected massive amounts of money directly into the economy. It's all part of what's called the Going Direct Reset, which is a plan the Fed and the G7 central banks agreed to in August 2019. So if you go back through history to 1998, something started, which I call a financial coup. And when you have a financial coup of the kind we had, at some point you have to reset. So you shift a huge amount of money out of the systems that have the liabilities. So the liabilities, for example, the retirement liabilities are left inside the existing systems, but you've moved the assets out. And so a time is coming when people are expecting all sorts of promises to be kept, and you're going to have to not keep them, whether you do it through inflation or canceling contracts or political change, whatever. We see the big hullabaloo in France with Macron changing the retirement age now that everybody's ready to retire. So we're coming into...
To reiterate her point, when your country is $30 and $40 trillion in debt, all bets are off. She mentioned canceling contracts. All bets are off. These people under the guise of emergency, after I saw the bailouts in 2008, they will do anything that they want to do under the guise of an emergency. Nothing is sacred, and that's why the bailouts were such a bad thing, because they opened Pandora's box.
The Going Direct Reset is the reset that consolidates as the coup. And what's been happening, Kim, is for many decades we've been building digital systems that help us to affect central control. And those changes have been happening behind the scenes, and now they're coming out of the closet and they're becoming very brazen. So we're so to speak, in the end game, if you will, on the financial reset. And everywhere you turn, you're seeing more and more central control. So consolidation of the banks, censorship, cutting of food stamps, cutting of all sorts of benefits, changing retirement ages. So this is just a reset that's being rolled out in all the different aspects of life. And the effort is to centrally control.
Ooh, yikes. JP Morgan CEO is warning that tensions between the U.S. and China have upended the international order He's right about this. The global order changing. That was said by what was his name? The guy from Bridgewater. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he did a whole video on the global order changing. It's an interesting time to be alive. I'll say that. And gold will play a significant role. You're right about that. This is what happens during monetary resets. Breaking, Brazilian president calls for creation of common currency for South American trade. Common currency for trade. The trend is here. And then this was from Stansberry Research. Listen to what this guy says about gold.
Help us understand that every time the Fed has pivoted, what it's done to the price of gold. And that's why it's so important to watch and track this.
Well, what's going to happen is the Fed will next move might be to no change in the Fed funds rate, and then they'll start lowering rates. And when the problem for gold is because it doesn't bear interest, it has to compete with interest-bearing assets like bonds, and so when bonds interest rates go up, that's bad for gold. But gold has done pretty well here in the last 15 months. Even though the Fed has been raising interest rates. And I think what's going to happen is that when the Fed decides to lower rates, that takes all the pressure off of gold and it's going to skyrocket higher. I said I expect to see $3,000 gold, and I still expect to see that. Not tomorrow, but the next couple of years.
$3,000 gold, and it's a good thing because Glint's running a special here. They gave me a referral code, DAIV50. They're one of my sponsors. You can buy gold in your Glint account and get a Glint MasterCard debit card. And this code will give you 50% off vaulting and insurance fees for the next 12 months. These are for new customers only, is my understanding. And it's valid until the 14th of July, 2023. Link is in the top of the description. Yesterday we had Linda P. Jones, right? And she predicted a 20 times the value of Ripple shares for an IPO, which would put it somewhere in that $500 to $700 range. And this person, Crypto Sash, says, I agree with Linda. I own Ripple shares. I think Ripple valuation linked to right now is crazy low. It puts the value of Ripple around 6 to 7 billion. It's selling at a discount. And by the way, they're one of my sponsors too. The link to that's in the top of the description. Knowing they did repurchase their shares at 15 billion before, I also believe that 100 billion Ripple market valuation is possible, and actually that is my target. Linda P. Jones, which means you are looking at approximately 15 times 34, $500 to $700. Ripple IPO price or soon after is very achievable. I'm aiming personally at 100 billion to 20 times my money. I may sell some, create a farm of IPOs to come. $600 share, Ripple shares is not crazy. Very interesting. I'm not telling you that's what it is doing. I'm just showing you what they think. Linda was pretty in line with this. Dark Defender is on the scene. XRP daily time frame, it hit the resistance of 53 cents for a short while. Apparently that resistance is vital to get above $1. While getting there, XRP can still travel sinus wave. There's a new term. Never heard that one. Towards 48 cents and closing daily candles above 53 for 3 consecutive days is a must. Then you're looking at 89 cents to $1.33, according to Dark Defender. Then we've got XRP trending 6.75 million tweets. Is that a typo, or could that be real? I mean, that's pretty amazing. I don't know if I've ever seen, I see XRP. This is an interesting thing. XRP and Ripple trends more than just about anything in crypto social media. And let me tell you another interesting thing. Remember the other day when I showed the circle? You know how you do those circles that show who the people that follow you the most or watch your Twitter feed the most? One that caught my eye was CoinDesk. And the reason it caught my eye is that CoinDesk, I've made no bones about how CoinDesk is Bitcoin, Ethereum through and through, and they've been pushing that whole narrative for years. I'm very curious as to why CoinDesk would be paying so much attention to a guy that talks about Ripple and XRP. I get the feeling, folks, that a lot of these people who have not been in our camp for a long time, they know something or they think something, and they're thinking maybe we ought to jump into that camp, or we might look like we dropped the ball here when these guys end up being right. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And then we got this from BitTrue. Incoming bull run. What does BitTrue know? Does BitTrue know something that I don't know? Well, what I do know is that I think this case is over, and I'll stand by that. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that apparently BitTrue has a question. What's your thesis for the incoming bull run? I'll tell you my thesis as long as we're here. Here's my thesis. XRP becomes the only digital asset with legal clarity and potentially has that for the next 2 years, while all other digital assets have to go through the gauntlet. That's one scenario. Or maybe it's what I think is more likely is that it's that, but anything built on the XRP ledger is also not a security. That would become very interesting, because then you got all kinds of things. You got all sorts of digital assets that would be included in that.